Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Beyond Breakfast. We are finishing up Rav Dessler on Shabbat, and we were speaking a little bit about we'll do a very quick, review. Rav Dessler brought down 9 major points. We're not going to go through all of them, but number 1 is he speaks about the goal of creation is that the creation actually has a kala, that God finished creating the world itself. He spoke about the idea that he created a wedding canopy, a world, and now he needed the kala. Shabbat was the kala. Shabbat is the purpose, the function of the reality that you and I are in. Menucha, he says, does not mean no inactivity. Right? What was lacking in the world? Rashi says menucha was lacking. Right? We were unable to rest. God was unable to finish his creation until this concept of menucha actually became a reality. He spoke about that when we work during the week, we have to get to a point where we recognize that everything that we do is done. He asks, how is it possible to go ahead and do all of your work and have it done in 6 days? Even when Shabbat comes, you're not finished with all of your work. And the answer is that it has a mindset of bitachon. The Ben Ish Chai says, actually, in last week's parsha, he says that when you look at Noach, and it says, Pasuk says that, I'm blanking on the Pasuk right now. Noach matza chen b'nei Hashem, there it goes, right? He says, what does it mean that Noach found chen in God's eyes? What was the chen? What did he do? So Ben Ish Chai says that if you look at the word bitachon, he says the word bitachon comes from 2 words, tov and chen. And that the combination of good chen is bitachon. When we have bitachon, Hashem finds favor in us. We have chen in Hashem's eyes. And that is what Shabbat is supposed to do. We're supposed to have that bitachon, that we could get everything done on Shabbat and not worry about the things that happen during the week, and rather create a space where we can go ahead and let go and let God. The Pasuk says, Zechor et Yom HaShabbat lekadsho. Right? We have a responsibility of doing everything we can to bring Kedusha into the special power of Shabbat. He spoke about the idea of a karat l'Shabbat oneg, the idea that the Zohar we quoted a couple of days ago, because the body itself becomes holy, all material objects can become holy. You have to be willing to elevate the wine, the food, the song, are all, it may seem like indulgences, but really a reality, a vessel for divine light in this world. And lastly, when God blesses something, it means without limit. There's no limit to bracha. It has to be infinite bracha. And this is going to, the closure, the completing of this idea goes as follows. The secret, he says. We call Shabbat Kodesh. Now, if I was to ask you to define what Kodesh means, what would you say is Kodesh? How would you find Kedusha?
Sanctified?
So it's true, sanctified. What does sanctified mean? What makes something sanctified? So Rashi says that the word kodesh means separated, right? To separate something makes it kodesh. So for example, the chuppah, where does the word chuppah come from? The word chof. Chof. What is a chof?
Chof is a beach.
Correct. A beach is also a border. The chuppah is also a chof. It's the border between 2 realities, the reality of before the chuppah and after the chuppah. Before the chuppah, you could marry any lady in the world. After the chuppah, you have a new border. This is the only lady you could ever be with.
What's the shortage?
What? We're not doing that right now. Trust me, chuppah and chof are the same root word, chaf, right? So you have a kedusha of the sanctity of marriage. The sanctity of marriage comes from 2 people saying, I am to you and to you alone. It's the separation of the man and the wife from one another, saying we are only to each other and to no one else. That's where the holiness of marriage comes from. So he says, we call Shabbat Kodesh. And he says, holiness means to be ready for the highest endeavors, to aim for the noblest goals. The essence of Shabbat is to free oneself from the negative, narrow values of materialism and to adopt a boundless value of the spirit. So for Rav Dessler, Kedusha is something more. It's a goal, something we're striving for, something that we all should be aiming towards. How do we take everything that we have in the world of gashmiut and make it something more? The malacha, the prohibition, and all their ramifications are based on this principle. All the 30 malachot are there about this one idea. Their purpose is to divert our creativity from the physical sphere to the realm of the spirit. Shabbat expresses this unique relation between God and Israel. As God himself says, it is a sign between us and I, God make you holy. Beini, this is an ot beini ubenechem. Isn't it interesting that the major religions of the world keep Shabbat on any day but Shabbat, right? Christianity keeps Shabbat on Sunday, and Islam keeps Shabbat on Friday. Why couldn't they figure out what day Saturday was? And the answer is, even they know it's an ot beini ubenechem. It's a special sign between me and my children, right, and nobody else. And therefore, they didn't have the chutzpah to take a chance. They believe in God, but they also know what they're practicing is not 100% correct. They cannot keep Shabbat because you keep Shabbat and you're not Yehudi. You have a spiritual death that is coming your way. And therefore, Shabbat expresses this unique relation between God and the Jewish people. And that's what he says. It's an ot beini ubenechem. There is something secret and personal about the relationship. It is the reward for keeping Shabbat, which the Gemara says is not revealed. It cannot be revealed because it is the holiness of Shabbat experienced in the secret recesses of our hearts. If it were to be ever revealed or articulated, it would cease to be an inward experience of being. Once it emerged into the outside world, it would no longer be the same. This quality it shares with Olam Haba, meaning he says that Shabbat is me'ein Olam Haba, right? Shabbat is an aspect of Olam Haba. And therefore, he's saying that the true nature of Shabbat can never truly be articulated because it would remove our ability from being in that state of actually being. What does it mean to be in a state of being? A human being is always moving. If you're here right now, it's because you have a heart that is pumping, right? You have lungs that are breathing, right? You have a mind that is firing neurons all the time. We can never ever truly be in a state of being in a conscious state until we live in a world of Olam Haba. The closest we're going to get to that is after death, when we wake up in that new world, that new reality, like, holy cow, there's a whole spiritual reality. This is just us being pregnant in the physical world, right? There's a whole other reality. And that world can never be articulated. No one could speak about what that world is like. And so Shabbat shares a similar quality. You could experience it, but could you ever really explain to someone else who never had a Shabbat what Shabbat really is? It's so hard. There's no real words. I could talk about it for as long as I can, and you'll never really capture the essence of what Shabbat is. Once it emerged into the outside world, it would no longer be the same. This quality shares the Olam Haba. It is interesting that in the world of science, things are valued only when they are describable, while in the world of the spirit, things are valued when they are indescribable. In the world of gashmiut, it's more meaningful what I could describe it. In the world of ruchniut, there's no words to describe what you're experiencing. It's actually, there's a famous story of a messenger for a Hasidic rabbi, and he was bring this letter between these two rabbis and bring it back and forth for years, months, back and forth. And so one of his friends said, do you ever open the letters to see what the rabbis writing to each other? They keep writing letters back and forth. He sees one rabbi, he gets excited about the letter. Oh my gosh, he responded. That's what he responded. He responds back. So he's seeing these letters going back and forth for months. And he finally had the chutzpah to open the letter. He opens the letter and he sees the letter is blank. Nothing's in there. It's a blank page. So he's like, I've been doing this for months. Just a blank letter. So he brings the guy, and the rabbi's like, wow, oh my gosh, he's so excited. He says, give me a few minutes. And he gives the guy, the messenger, a letter. And I want to see how did you respond to a blank letter? He opens the letter. The second letter is blank. And now he's so upset. He's like, I've been carrying these letters back and forth. They're not even writing to each other. So he finally has the chutzpah to go to his Rebbe. He says, Rebbe, I have to say, I've been doing this for months and months and months. And I peeked into the letter and I said, it's blank. Why would you do this to me? He's like, no, you don't understand. He's like, we've been writing letters for so many months. But he said something so profound, I sent him back a blank letter because there's no response. There's no way to articulate it. There's no way to speak about it. Sometimes saying nothing is also a response. And he responded with saying nothing as well. But from your perspective, all you saw was nothing, but really there was a whole emotion attached to it. Chachamim say, by the way, that if you look at the Torah itself, we know where the letters are, Bereshit bara Elokim, and it's black on white. But the Mekubalim say that there's actually another story that is being told in between the white spaces. The letters carve out a space, and there's a whole other area that we can't read of a white space on the parchment that it itself is telling a story that we can't fully comprehend. So Shabbat is like this, and all spiritual things are like this. By the way, another great example of this, right? If you have a child, or if you're in a healthy, marriage relationship, you can't explain the love you have for a child to anybody. There's no words. And therefore, the things that are more spiritual in nature are things that can never be articulated. He says, this is how he ends. He says, our attitude to Shabbat, it will reveal with what our attitudes is to the spiritual world, meaning how we think about our Shabbat and how we treat our Shabbat tells us how we think about the world of gashmiut. That is the sign between us and Hashem, the sign which points to our true selves. Meaning, if you use Shabbat properly, it allows you to really tell me about how you experience Shabbat in a spiritual realm. The people that I see who have special clothing for Shabbat, who I used to be in a Knesset in Israel, where all the children do Tanit Dibur, smartest thing. I don't know who created that. Imagine children not speaking of the whole entire Shabbat, just sitting there saying Tehillim, whatever it is. It's a powerful idea. But how you prepare for your Shabbat, how you make your Shabbat meaningful, tells me a lot about what you think your spirituality is like. Bezrat Hashem, we should live in a world that is Kulo Shabbat Kodesh. Have a great week, everybody.